This right here is Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the current director of the CDC. And just yesterday, her agency issued an official health advisory warning regarding Pfizer's COVID-19 pills, the ones that were approved late last year and are sold under the name Paxlovid. People usually take Paxlovid after they actually contract COVID in order to lessen the symptoms as well as to lower the chance for hospitalization. However, according to this new advisory from the CDC, it warns Americans that taking Paxlovid might actually lead to a rebound in COVID symptoms. Here's specifically what the warning states, quote, "The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is issuing this health advisory to update healthcare providers, public health departments, and the public on the potential for recurrence of COVID-19 or COVID-19 rebound. Limited information currently available from case reports suggests that persons treated with Paxlovid who experience COVID-19 rebound have had mild illness. There are no reports of severe disease." Now, before we continue going down the warning in this advisory statement, let me back up for a quick moment and really set the stage for you by going through the entire Paxlovid story, starting with what the drug is and how it works. And actually, down in this advisory, they have a section called Background, which does a great job of breaking down exactly what Paxlovid is. Here's specifically what they write, quote, "Paxlovid is a prescription oral antiviral drug that reduces the risk of hospitalization and death for patients with mild to moderate COVID-19 who are at risk of disease progression and severe illness. It is available under emergency use authorization by the FDA for adults and pediatric patients. Treatment should be initiated as soon as possible and within 5 days of symptom onset among persons eligible to receive the treatment under the emergency use authorization." Okay, so in short, these pills are recommended by the FDA for people who test positive for COVID and want to get better as soon as possible, get rid of their symptoms, and avoid a serious infection that might lead them to go to the hospital. And there's big money behind these pills because you might remember that late last year, even before they were granted this emergency use authorization, the Biden administration had already signed a $5.3 billion contract with Pfizer, agreeing to purchase 10 million Paxlovid treatment courses. And just for your reference, a full treatment course involves taking 30 Paxlovid pills during a 5-day period. And so if you do the math on that, if you divide 10 million treatment courses by $5.3 billion that the Biden administration paid, that works out to each one of these Pfizer COVID pill treatment courses costing roughly $529. At least that's what they charge the U.S. government. However, according to this new CDC advisory, well, it appears that COVID symptoms may actually return after a person completes their Pfizer pill treatment course. Here's specifically what they wrote, quote, "The results are contingent on whether or not the patient smashes that like button and whether or not they subscribe to the Facts Matter YouTube channel." Now, I am, of course, just joking. However, it is a known fact that smashing that like and subscribe buttons do generally increase your happiness. Regardless, here's what the CDC actually wrote in their advisory warning, quote, "Recent case reports document that some patients with normal immune response who have completed a 5-day course of Paxlovid for laboratory-confirmed infection and have recovered can experience recurrent illness 2 to 8 days later, including patients who have been vaccinated and or boosted. These cases of COVID-19 rebound have negative test results after Paxlovid treatment and had subsequent positive viral antigen and or PCR tests. Both the recurrence of illness and positive test results improved or resolved median of 3 days without additional anti-COVID-19 treatment. Based on information from the case reports, COVID-19 rebound did not represent reinfection with SARS-CoV-2 or the development of resistance to Paxlovid. Also, no other respiratory pathogens were identified among the known cases." Meaning, in plain English, that in these particular cases, the individual caught COVID, they took this $529 Pfizer treatment course, and then afterwards, their symptoms came right back. Although, as the statement mentions, the rebound did not represent reinfection with SARS-CoV-2, which to the best of my understanding means that they were not reinfected with COVID after the treatment, but rather it was just that their symptoms rebounded. Now, what's interesting to note here is that even though this advisory is being issued now, many months after the emergency use authorization was granted, this was actually something known even during the clinical trial phase. In fact, when the FDA regulators were evaluating Paxlovid data for approval, they noted that, quote, "Several participants in Pfizer's clinical trial appear to have a rebound in viral load 5 to 9 days after completing their treatment courses. After the reports of rebounds post-authorization, additional analysis of the trial data show that 1 to 2% of patients tested positive after testing negative or had a higher viral load after completing the treatment." And so obviously this was something that was known beforehand, that a certain percentage of individuals who take Paxlovid do experience a rebound of symptoms and then retest positive for the virus, even potentially with a higher viral load. However, we here at the Epoch Times, we reached out to the NIH for comment on this entire matter, And according to their response, it made it clear that, for one, they don't fully understand what's really going on behind the scenes, and that secondly, they don't currently have any studies on this phenomena. Here's specifically what an official at the NIH wrote to us here at the Epoch Times in an email. Quote, "Scientists with the NIH are working with the CDC and the FDA to figure out possible ways to better understand this phenomenon. The NIH currently does not have studies underway, but the agency is actively discussing potential studies to learn more about who this is affecting, how often it is occurring, and if a longer regimen would be more effective in certain cases." Now, one thing that is not exactly clear from this entire incident is whether this rebound in COVID symptoms is tied exclusively to Pfizer's COVID pills, or is it the case that a certain percentage of all people experience rebound after getting COVID? And it appears that on this question, the CDC is leaning more towards the latter explanation, because in their actual advisory statement, they made it clear that they are continuing to recommend Paxlovid for all people if they catch COVID and they meet the requirements for taking the pills. Here's specifically what their statement says in this regard. Quote, "Paxlovid continues to be recommended for early-stage treatment of mild to moderate COVID-19 among persons at high risk for progression to severe disease. COVID-19 rebound has been reported to occur between 2 and 8 days after initial recovery and is characterized by a recurrence of COVID-19 symptoms or a new positive viral test after having tested negative. A brief return of symptoms may be part of the natural history of SARS-CoV-2 infection in some persons, independent of treatment with Paxlovid and regardless of vaccination status." And so, as you can see, they are making the argument that perhaps this is independent of the Paxlovid pills, and they are continuing to recommend them. And then to sum it all up, 2 days ago, Dr. Walensky, she gave an interview with CBS News wherein she explained this entire situation this way, quote, "If you take Paxlovid, you might get symptoms again. We haven't yet seen anybody who has returned with symptoms needing to go to the hospital, so generally a milder course. For those who experience COVID rebound, they should test. They should put their mask back on, and if their test is positive, restart the isolation protocol." Meaning that the CDC recommends that everyone get vaccinated and boosted in order to protect themselves against COVID. If they still get COVID, the CDC then recommends that you take Pfizer's $529 treatment course, subsidized by the federal government, of course, in order to prevent serious infections and hospitalizations. However, if after the treatment you have a COVID rebound, then you should put your mask back on, give yourself a COVID test, and once again, self-isolate. If you'd like to see all of these government recommendations in written form, perhaps you can print them out and stick them on your refrigerator so that you can always know what to do, well, you'll find all those links down in the description box below this video so you can find them all for yourself. And all I ask in return is that as you're making your way down there to the description box, you take a short detour to smash that like button if you haven't already. And now, what's this? Of course it's Sekur, because we use the Sekur app, which is the sponsor of today's episode, as well as an awesome email and message service provider that actually cares about your privacy. Now listen, it's no big secret that our data is being mined and remined all the time. In fact, there was a recent study that was published in the year 2020, which found that 155 million Americans, likely including you and me, have suffered some form of data breach. And frankly, that's only what's publicly known. However, all those past problems with privacy issues and data mining, well, that can be an issue of the past, because moving forward, you can use the Sekur app, which both your messages, your emails, and your phone calls can remain private. That's because they have their servers and their data centers located in Switzerland instead of in the US or China or Russia. And why does that matter? Because Switzerland has the strictest data privacy laws in the entire world, and they are not subject to the intrusive Cloud Act. Now, what I love the most about the Sekur app is that they don't collect my data, they don't mine my data, they don't mine the data and phone numbers of my friends and family. Everything is private. And best of all, at least in my opinion, this does not work with your big tech email provider just because it is not secure. And so check it out. You can head on over to Sekur.com, and if you use promo code Roman, you can get 25% off. And frankly, their rates are not even that expensive. It only starts with $5 for the messenger and $10 for the email and messenger combo. And best of all, they offer a 7-day free trial. And now, as I mentioned on a previous episode, last week we published an exclusive, super spicy episode of Facts Matter over on Epoch TV, detailing how, unbeknownst to almost all Americans, there are quite literally thousands of food items that are made using nanotechnology ingredients over on our store shelves. Here's a trailer. Right now, unbeknownst to almost all Americans, thousands of the food items on our store shelves actually contain within them ingredients that are made using nanotechnology. And the reason they do this is because over the past 30 years or so, scientists have discovered that by adding these tiny little components, they were able to make our food more colorful, brighter, creamier, crunchier, and they were even able to keep it fresher for longer. However, according to more and more consumer protection groups, as well as different health experts, there appears to be a catch. which is that while these nanoparticles can provide a myriad of benefits, they might come at a price. And that price is our health, which might be getting compromised without our even knowing it. Because while countries like Canada, France, and the EU in general are banning these foods, well, here in America, the FDA not only allows them, but even further, at this very moment, companies are not even required to list these nanoparticles on their ingredients label, meaning that you don't even know that you're ingesting them. Let's go through it all together. If you'd like to watch that exclusive episode in its entirety, you can do so over on Epoch TV, which is of course our awesome no censorship video platform. The link to it will be right there at the very top of the description box. I hope you click on it. I hope you watch not only our episode, but all the other great content over on Epoch TV. And know that when you go on over on Epoch TV, and when you watch the content, and when you subscribe, you are directly funding and allowing us to continue our journalism that we do here at the Epoch Times. So again, that link will be right there at the very top of the description box. I hope you click on it, and I hope that you subscribe. And then until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.